Okay, we're being recorded. Aw, welcome everybody. It is so great to see you. Here we all are on Zoom. Um, so we'll be doing some yoga today, our 15 minutes to support our lungs and our heart. And in particular today, I'm gonna have us do a lot of diaphragmatic release, just things to help mobilize and free up the diaphragm, which when we're looking at the lung health, especially with COVID, people have a lot of concerns about should you get the illness or just being preventative about it. It's a lower respiratory illness, so the lower lungs are more affected. And I'll be sharing weekly different aspects of supporting the lungs. But today's class, we're going to really focus on how to release the diaphragm, which is this dome-shaped muscle beneath the lungs. And when you inhale, it presses down like a drum head. And then when you exhale, it domes back up. And so when we have illness, when we have anxiety, which I'm sure that's probably touching most of us right now, some level of anxiety with this new world and all the unknowns, and so many people are getting, there's various levels of how we're being affected, some minor and some severe. So anxiety can come with that. And so anxiety can affect, can kind of induce these holding patterns, holding our diaphragm, holding in our chest, doing really shallow breathing where we're breathing up here and using all these muscles. So today's class is going to help us free up the diaphragm, get in touch with it somatically, with our movement, with our, you can notice the sensations around it, with our breath, and with some meditation. And so when we're breathing really well with the diaphragm, then we're all those lower, the lower lobes and all the little alveolar sacs in the lobes can get more expansion, more spaciousness, and then more oxygen. And also, if there's mucus, it can help to drain it. And I'll do another class more on drainage on another week. Everyone? Yeah, okay. So let us begin. I was just gonna have us start standing, actually. And you can come on up. And we're gonna shake it out. So I'm just kind of bouncing up and down on the balls of my feet and shaking my arms, shaking my legs. And even imagine your organs right now are shaking, and just picture how they're moving in relationship. Imagine the diaphragm, you can sense what you feel there. So when we shake, we're helping to dispel any holding patterns in our nervous system. So when we are in a state of stress, we can go into fight, flight, or freeze. And animals do this, they'll freeze when there's a predator. But later on, when they feel safe, they'll shake it out. You see a dog shaking. You can shake a leg if you need a support. You can also do the shaking seated. So I'm planning to also offer a chair class, just really showing all these movements in that modification. But you can sit and shake, and then do a little side to side shake, a little shimmy shimmy, forward and back. Do a few ha breaths. And even let a tone out. All right, how are we feeling? Good. So that should have gotten your energy up, your breathing up. So we'll do kind of bring it in a little bit now. So as we widen the legs, have a wider base of support, bend the legs a bit, we'll lift the arms out and up. Take a breath in as you do this. And then as you exhale, you can bring the hands down and let the legs straighten. Stay nice and stable through your base. Inhale, bend, and lift. And exhale. And for these first few breaths, we just did some shakes, so your respiration might feel a little bit fast, or just releasing any tension. Feel free to do a ha, open mouth, ha breath. So when we do that, we're inhaling through the nose, exhaling. We're moving the jaw, and we're getting some of those tissues in the mouth, in the palate of the mouth, and the tongue, which are all related to the respiratory tract fascially. The last one. Good. And then we'll have a little bit of a bend in the knees. Place your hands right at your center so you can sense the diaphragm beneath you. And I'm also, this is called like a horse or guy stance. So I have a pretty neutral pelvis. I'm not arched and I'm not leaning forward. It's like you're sitting on a horse. You can also do this seated in a chair. I'm gonna just have us in this stance so we have a real good stable base for some breathing. So we're shh, shh, shh. So it's like you're saying sh. Shh, 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 shh. Just a few. So you can feel the muscles moving. You can sense the diaphragm moving underneath your hands. And then you can do a few with a th sound, an F. Good. Now in yoga, we have a breath called the Kapalabhati. It's a fire breath, and it has a similar way that it activates these same mechanics that you were just feeling with the sh and the foot. So, and you might need a Kleenex nearby. So rather than out through the mouth, like we did with the sh and the f, we're gonna breathe out through the nose. Yep, I need a Kleenex. So just breathing out, it'll clear your sinuses. We'll do another class on sinus stuff too. Just go gentle. If you start to feel like you might be lightheaded, just don't do it. Just stop doing it, or you also sitting down. Maybe a couple more. And the idea is to get movement through the diaphragm, get movement through the abdominal muscles. You'll even notice the pelvic floor muscles working, because all of these muscles coordinate to work to support not only the movement of the diaphragm, but then to move the ribs, to allow for the lungs to expand, to bring in more oxygen. Good. So when you're done, good, give it a little blow, and then we'll do a lion's breath. So we're inhaling through the nose, and you can let your chest lift a little bit. It's like a little mini cow, cat-cow. And then as you exhale, think of your belly as pulling back, and you're going to stick out your tongue. Inhale and exhale. And again, you should feel really stable, not only through your legs and your posturing, but not a sense of lightheadedness or dizziness. So if you start to feel that, just decrease what you're doing, or just regular breathing, but you can do the same movement with your body. And especially if you're newer to yoga and newer to the breathing, you want to go gentle. Just go slow, go easeful. It should always feel stable and easeful. So last one, breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. And so we're, with the tongue out, we're helping to stretch the tongue, the palate of the mouth. Our body is wrapped in this connective tissue called fascia, which when you think about the respiratory as well as the digestive tracts, what you do with your mouth affects what you do with the lungs, affects the diaphragm, affects all the way down. So after that last one, then we'll take our hands to our heart, or you can even put one hand at your heart and one hand at your belly. And just let the breath come naturally now after doing a little bit of movement, doing some breathing through the nose. And so when we breathe, when our body is breathing, we don't even have to think about it. The air comes in, the lungs inflate, the diaphragm moves down, the organs all divert, and there's some more spaciousness in the belly. So when you inhale, you'll feel everything expanding, both hands, the chest, a little bit, and the belly. And then when you exhale, as the air leaves, the diaphragm follows, and the organs all follow too. So you'll feel the belly pull back. And so just kind of it's in this witness mode, watching the body breathe here, trusting, feeling that relaxed belly. Good. And now that we're in a little bit more quiet, inward focused place, draw yourself within and just finding your intention for today. So what are you needing right now? And as you breathe, just letting that breath gently touch that intention internally. It's like it's just breathing life into the intention within you. Carving out new space inside of you for that embodiment of whatever you're desiring. Balance, calm, grounding, connection. One or two more breaths, feeling how the breath is this intermediate between your thought, your intention, and your body. And bringing that intention into your body, you can feel it with this breath. Good. So now we will do a little bit with some movement with that intention and breath in mind. So we're just simply inhale, opening the arms. And then as we exhale, coming back. And you might picture this intention opening and growing as you inhale, as the lungs expand, as the belly expands. And as you exhale, bringing this intention even deeper. Really feel yourself internalize it. Give it to yourself. And any breathing that feels good. If my seasoned yogis, you can do the Ujjayi breath. So it's like a ha breath, but with your mouth closed. Good. Last one. Good. So let's now we'll get a little bit more movement and move the legs a bit. So we're going to take our hands out and up. And so we felt ourselves connected to the source within. Now, maybe there's another source outside of you. The sun, maybe a higher source and divine source. And bring that image or that feeling or that symbol to your head. And actually touch your head And then touch the back body and start to scan all the way down. And so as you touch, your body is feeling your own touch. You're bending the knees, touching the back of the legs. So if you don't want to go all the way into full forward bend, you can stop here. If you feel good to come all the way down, go all the way down. We can also do this seated in a chair. Same thing. And then everywhere you just touched, feel how the breath moves into those spaces, inhabiting the back body. Good. And then we can, to help ourselves up, you can either put your hands on your thighs to bend the knees and push up to support your back, or I like to scoop, like you're pulling the earth all the way up through your central channel, through your central body back to that higher source. Good. And now breathe in here. And now as we exhale, we're going to touch the side body. So our own touch is very healing, not only on this just a deep emotional level, especially if you are isolated and not with people, but also our touch can cue our sensory body and actually help our body know how to release tension, just bring more sensation to our awareness. So 1 or 2 more breaths here. Just everywhere you just touched, feel your breath touching those edges, the side body. Side lungs, side waist, side hips. And then we can again bend the knees, scoop through center or hands against thighs as you exhale to stand. Imagine really feel the central line of your body getting cleared out. Inhale, reach. Grab your source, and then one last time touching now the front of the body, the face. Our nerve pathways are relearning how to all coordinate with our touch. Our energy is balancing and distributing. 1 or 2 more breaths, breathing everywhere you just touched. And also right now, as we're inverted, our diaphragm and organs, abdominal organs and lung organ, heart organs are all in different relationships. So this is also strengthening for the diaphragm, being inverted like this. Strengthening and mobilizing, helping to release any tension, holding patterns. So when you're ready, scoop, exhale, supporting your back, especially if you have back concerns. All the way back up. Reaching, reaching, reaching. And then hands to heart. And just letting your mind drop into that deeper space where your intention was felt. Feel your breath there, how your whole body is reorganized a little bit. Good. We'll do a couple more standing postures, and we'll do like a side stretch as well as a stretch for the chest. We did this last week's class. This is a slightly different variation. So you can start with your hands on your heart. And again, I'm having my knees in a bent position just to keep nice and stable. If you're really wanting to work stronger, you can be in a deeper wide squat, even lifting your toes or your heels. But I like to just keep it pretty simple, just grounding. So we're going to take our hands out in front, palms together. And we're going to sweep. One hand across as the other one opens, all the way to the armpit. And so we're stretching the pec here. We're stretching the nerves from the neck through the brachial plexus down the arm. Take a big breath in. And all this stretching of these tissues helps to open the lungs. We get really tight and locked down in these muscles. So big breath in. And then we're going to take the hand and sweep it down the side body, side ribs, all the way kind of across the front belly, across the diaphragm and that middle belly. And as we do that, we're going to bend across. You can look down or forward. And then we'll lift back up, reaching with your fingertips. And then hands back to heart. So we're inhale, opening to the side as we turn the head opposite. Exhale, hand runs down side, bending side, so we're stretching the lats, freeing up all these structures around the, not only the lungs, but the diaphragm. Inhale, back upright. And then exhale, refine center, drop in deep. So we'll just keep going on this side about 2 or 3 more times. I'm also thinking of the deeper fluids, the lymph. So we have these lymph nodes that we're helping to just imagining squeegeeing that fluid in. And then as we exhale across, we're bringing it into the body to be filtered and brought back into the circulatory system. Inhale up. And you could be moving at your own pace if my movements and breath are too slow for you. Moving at a faster pace. You can do exhale through the mouth. You can do exhale through the nose. So finish your last one. And we'll just pause there. And let the arms down, take that shoulder, and pull it out. Take that elbow, make circles with your elbow. And then the whole arm. You can even do a little rotation through the waist, turning your sternum one way and then the other. And then take your wrist, if you're just doing really swirly motions, and just swirl your body. Loosen it all up. So we're imagining the fascia, all that connective tissue, all just really unwinding, the fluids unwinding. Shake it out. Okay, so we'll do the other side. So starting hands at heart. Really nice and grounded through your legs, your pelvis is level. And again, as you inhale, we're going to open the arm. Turning the head the opposite way. Notice if your shoulder wants to shrug way up, and just keep the sense of dropping through the body, just finding ground. And when you're ready, hand runs down, right across. And also just the hand here, that presence kind of in front of the diaphragm. It just gives us some more tools to feel. We have more of a sense of where it is. Inhale. More feedback. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Dropping in. Just finding the infinity within the breath. Just these sweet breaths with these little pauses coupled on either end. Really dropping into presence with yourself, with your body, with your intention. Nurturing action, squeegeeing the lymph. So finish your last one. Pause with your, excuse me, hands at your heart. And then we'll roll that shoulder. Take the elbow into some circles. And then the whole arm. And you can even turn your body, feeling everything moving. And then take your squiggly wrist. Good. Just feel like you're water. Good. Shake it out. All right, so now if you have a chair on hand, it can be really useful for this next little standing segment. Some chairs have higher or lower backs. Sorry, I don't want to cough into the microphone. I was pretty ill a few weeks, like right when this whole COVID thing started. I had a really strong respiratory bug that, I don't know, it could have been the illness that didn't have all the classic symptoms with the fever, but it was strong, and it's still in there. And so I use these very techniques pretty much daily. So there's a couple different ways we can do it with the chair. You want it to, let's see about how it feels about that far away, where you can have a soft bend and reaching. And then we'll take 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, staggered stance or warrior one. And I like to have the feet a comfortable distance apart rather than on a tightrope, about as wide as the hips or a little wider. And so as we go to bend the front knee, we can take the arms and sweep them back. And notice when you're doing any kind of back bend or extension that you're not abusing the joints, like over going into the low back or neck. Just feel more like a real good stability, neutral pelvis through the hips, but then feel what it does to the upper body, getting this nice stretch through the chest, a little bit of movement through your thoracic spine. And then we'll take those arms up towards the sky. And then as we exhale, come down, we're gonna lean forward. So when I'm leaning forward, my hips remain level. I don't want to lean to the side. I'm remaining level. I like to think of karate chopping the hips and sending that awareness back. And so then we can take the arms to our chair. And so you can have the palms, the fingers, palms against the chair, or for a little added stretch through your latissimus dorsi, you can karate chop the chair, have your pinkies down. So these muscles are also affecting your lungs' ability to expand. So we're giving a gentle stretch through here. Good. And just visualize for a moment your organs, your tummy organs, your lung organs, how they are positioned with gravity. Just all in slightly different relationship with one another than when you're standing. Good. And now as you go to stand, bend the knee, bring your body upright, arms sweep back and up. Good. So as we exhale, arms will come down, reaching for the chair. Karate chop those hips straight back so you're not angled off to the side with the hips. Take a full breath here. Imagine how your diaphragm is moving. And then when you go to come out, bend the front knee, inhale the arms up. Let's just exhale down, stay one breath. And then when you're ready, inhale back up. You can do the arms as I'm doing, coming down first, or you can leave them up as you come down. This just requires a little bit more stability through the upper body and the back. And so same when you come up, you can leave them up. So just kind of see what feels better, if you like the sweeping arms or the suspended arms. You want to have a feeling of ease in your back. So especially my people with any back concerns, maybe the arms coming down would be a better choice. Good. And so we'll finally stay in the forward fold a few more breaths. If you want to try Going a little lower, you can turn your chair. And so again, you have that gravity effect of your organs, abdominal organs resting towards your diaphragm. Or of course, if you have the mobility, you could come to the floor. But I personally like the hands on the chair because you get that stretch through the lats. And you can have your front knee bent a little. It should all be non-impactful or strenuous on the spine. Good. And then finally, when we're ready to come out, we can bend the knee, reach the hands touching at the sky, maybe touching that source that you connected with earlier, and then bring it right back to your heart. Pause there. And then we'll do the other side. So turn my chair. So again, you can kind of test about how far to go. Take the other foot forward, hip distance apart, split stance. As you bend the front leg, think of your pelvis as neutral. So sometimes it's even like a slight little tuck through the tailbone. This not only protects the low back, but it gives you more stretch through the hip flexor, which is a much needed area to open, indirectly affecting our lungs. Everything's related. So as we're here, take the arms back and up, filling up with air, and then as you exhale, bring the arms to your chair. You might need to adjust your stance, getting that position that feels good. If your back feels like it's really rounded like this, you want to be a little higher, be a little closer to the chair, or have the knee more bent. So don't be all the way straight leg, have more of a bend in the knee. So if you feel like your back is rounded, you want to have a neutral, it's like a nice straight spine. So take one more breath, just observing how this shape feels on this side. And then when you're ready, you can start to couple it with the flow. Just bending the knee, arms come down and up, inhale, little pause. And then exhale, finding the chair, really sending the hips back. Stay there, one breath. Use the inhale to come back up as the front knee pulls forward, the spine teeter-totters up with the breath. The breath and the movement are so interconnected. It's like the breath really helps to support and animate the movement. Your mind is just witnessing this intricate yin. And as we're moving, we're mobilizing, freeing up all these various tissues that directly and indirectly affect the movement of the lungs. And so our breathing gets easier as we move. Our movement gets easier when we breathe. Good. And next time you come down, stay the last couple more breaths. You can stay a little longer. Again, you can go lower if you weren't already. So your hip isn't forward, but pulling back. Be with your diaphragm right now, or anything that feels good to visualize, but letting your mind continually come back and notice the diaphragm, how it is in different shapes, the different relationships with the various parts around it, can really help you to gain more awareness somatically. Good. And then when you're done, coming back up, hands to heart. And then coming center. And we'll do one last standing posture before we come to the ground. So just a little symmetrical standing cat-cow. Like we did earlier, you can do with the lion's breath or regular breath in and out. So side view, I'm bending the knees a bit. Inhale, You can slide the hands up the thighs, pulling the elbows back, the scapula back, pulling the chest forward. And it can all be very mini. You don't have to go to full range of motion, just really mini, just so you can feel the breath moving and animating you. And then as you exhale, draw the navel back, stick out the tongue. And you can really take your time here on the exhale, going a little longer, even into that exhale retention. Pause there for a moment. Just imagine all of this nice positioning, mobilizing the organs in your tummy, the diaphragm. And then as you inhale, just fill up. You're receiving this precious air. And also as you stick out your tongue, you can feel those structures in the mouth. Imagine how they're related all the way down the whole track. And you can even kind of send emotions. If you have any deep feelings of any kind of distress as you're exhaling, just purge your emotional body. Purge that energy. Visualize it leaving you. And then as you inhale, feel this clarity, this nourishment, whatever intention you're embodying. One last breath. Good. So, water movement. And so now we'll come down to our floor, and you should have some props nearby. So in my classes, we use bolsters, which I was thinking about it, you know, if you go on yogadirect.com, or I'm sure there's all kinds of different places to purchase bolsters. If you don't already have a bolster at home, they're a great investment. The one I have here is really thick and sturdy, which I prefer. I also have this softer one. It's a Manduka one, which is great, just different needs. But I'm going to show how to do it with pillows and blankets if you don't have a bolster. So I found the king size pillows are nice. Regular pillows are good too. This particular pose, it doesn't matter which one. So we're going to be laying on the props and putting the props, so if you find your floating ribs, just up, kind of about where that little xiphoid process, the bottom of the sternum. So we're really trying to put stimulation and pressure against the diaphragm, and then at about the hips, so all on the abdominal region. And I found when I was practicing with pillows that the pillows were a little too soft. I didn't quite get that pressure. It's like a massage, and that stimulation that I could get from the bolster. So I have this blanket, and it's a thicker, denser blanket, and I just folded it, you know, you can fold it in half, and fold it in half again. And then I did it again and again. It just depends on your comfort. So the more you fold it, the more solid it'll be, and the more intense of a sensation you'll receive. So you can adapt it and change it. So have that there. And then you might want another little pillow up at your head, just in case you need it. And I should look at my phone to make sure what time it is. Okay. So we're going to lay with our stomach on the bolsters or on the blankets. And so again, you want to get it so that this is also great for back support. So I do this in my back care classes to bring a neutral lower spine. But ideally, like that folded edge is right there in the diaphragm. There's a video going around on the internet for lung drainage, the mucus drainage, that is slightly different. I'll be going over drainage on another class, In that one, your hips are, your body's farther forward and your hips are higher than your heart. Right now, everything is pretty level. So we're here, and you can rest your forehead on your hands or on the floor. If that's uncomfortable for your shoulders or neck, you can get another pillow. If all of this is not good, especially if you have any kind of neck concerns, you can lay on your back and put some weight on your, if you can see me, on your tummy, and just use your hands to press down. But I'll be demonstrating this way because we have gravity pulling our body weight into the prop and putting added pressure into this region. So you should be feeling like a massage in your tummy. So just below your lungs, above your intestines, you have your diaphragm, you have your liver and your spleen, just kind of lower to kind of right underneath the diaphragm. And so as we're resting here, just breathe. And what you might notice with the belly being restricted, so the expansiveness that naturally happens when you breathe in, the organs move out of the way, is being restricted by the blankets. So the breath gets diverted into the back body. So pay attention to the back body here. Pay attention to the back of your ribs, the back of your mid-back, your sacrum, and see if you can feel the breath filling out in those areas. You might imagine a baby sleeping in a crib, laying face down, and if you're watching the baby breathe, just have beautiful breathing mechanics. They're so new. You could imagine how the body moves, and so see if just with that attention you could allow for that possibility in your body. And so we're mobilizing all kinds of tissues when we're just laying here. The tissues between the ribs, the tissues along the spine, the tissues of the lungs themselves, the tissues of the diaphragm, the organs. And so we'll do just a few more breaths just here, and you can even start to pay attention, get curious about a little longer exhale and beyond the exhale. So a little bit of retention through the exhale. And of course, if anything starts to feel like stifling or you're uncomfortable, just don't lengthen the breath as long. Use softer pillows or alternate positioning on your back if it feels too stifling. Good. So you could stay there for a while, and that could be like a really nice way to mobilize the diaphragm. Now we're going to bring in just a little bit of movement to this. So you guys can see me, right? Yeah. So we're here. I'm going to move my pillow tissue. So as I breathe in, I'm going to lift my upper body just a little. And now as I breathe out, when I lower my upper body, I'm going to bend my knee. And then as I breathe in, I'm going to inhale, lift the upper body, lower the knee. So notice as you do this, as you bend the knee, notice if you feel any more sensation of stretch. So you might be wondering, why does my knee have anything to do with my lung? So we have a hip flexor muscle that runs across the front of the leg, which fascially connects and functions with a deeper hip flexor muscle that runs kind of diagonally through the body and attaches along the spine, and then it attaches all the way up to the diaphragm. So essentially, you bending your knee as you exhale, diaphragm is pulling up, the knee is pulling the other way, and you're getting a stretch internally through the hip flexors, through the psoas. We can go more into the anatomy later if it's at all confusing or too much information, just trusting. And so then when you're done doing the other side, so inhale, lifting, exhale, bending the other leg. I'm having us do one leg at a time because you might be tighter on your right or left psoas. You might have more restriction in your right or left thigh or in your diaphragm, but also to support the low back. Sometimes if we do both legs at once, it can tend to pull on low back. But if you want to try both legs at once, you can do the same thing. Inhale, up, exhale. Really pausing there. Just an experiment, just see how does this feel in my body. You can omit anything you need. Good. So finally, when you're done, we'll come on up to all fours and move the props out of the way. Excuse me. And just do a little cat, cow here, exhaling through it. Med cat. So you're not only thinking of rounding the back, but thinking of lifting through the navel, lifting through the sternum, widening through the chest. So how that whole front body presses up into the central and back body. And then as you inhale, just receiving the breath, like you're riding a wave. Exhale, you can stick out your tongue. Pausing. And then the inhale is kind of this after effect from that longer exhale. Good. After you do your last cat-cow, and again, sometimes less is more. So even though you might have a technical depth of range of motion in your skeleton, your fascial body, your energetic body, it might need to go less because then you end up compensating and going past the areas that really could use some mobility. So when you have a more focused mind on the subtle body with your breath, sensations of release internally, you might be doing a less deep movement. And so once you're back to center, then we'll do like a little circle through the ribs. So I'm going to just picture your diaphragm there between your lungs and your abdominal organs. And as you're moving here, see what you feel through that area. And then of course you're going to feel through the ribs. You might end up bending the arms, the elbows a bit. You might start to spiral. This movement might be, I like to think of it as a spool of thread unwinding, or picturing smoke swirling. So you're going into more organic patterns of release. So your mind is more of a witness, watching how does my body want to release and move right now, rather than mind saying, okay, body, you're going to do this. You're just watching. Good. And then when you're ready, you can start to go the other way. So you can start with more that symmetrical circle shape. And then just see how your body wants to spill out into its just unique patterns, unique depth. Maybe it's really mini, maybe it's really deep. Listening to your body is so wise. It knows how to release, it knows how to function. Just using our intelligence of our mind to observe and be present, witness this intelligent body. Good. And then when we're done, we can gently rock back into a child's posture, softly finding the floor with your forehead. And then slowly come back up to all fours. So you can just couple this, all fours, inhale. All fours and exhale, child. You can turn the hands into the karate chop. Or if it feels better for your body, you might want to come back from all fours, come back into a downward dog. And just kind of just notice the effects of gravity in your center, at your diaphragm and everywhere related. We're not going for the perfect down dog. We're going to feel a stretch in our hamstrings, but we're really focused more on what's happening internally. One or two more of those. Your breath is so easeful, little pauses. Holding the space between each breath, holding your attention, place of self-honoring. Good. And so then we'll do let me think. I had two more restorative postures planned, but we're going to have time for one. I think we'll do the twist because it works more with our theme of the diaphragm. I was going to have us lay on our back in an inclined position. And actually we could I'll show you how to do that for Shavasana. So if you want to do an incline for Shavasana, rather than the typical Shavasana laying on the floor. So let's do a supported twist. So again, I'll typically teach this with a bolster, but you can use your pillows. So the longer pillows do work a little better for this one, but the shorter one should be fine as well. So you can do stacked pillows or stacked blanket. And it just might be personal preference as to whether the softness of the pillow feels better in your body or more the firmness of the blanket or the bolster. So I'm going to show both. There it is. So we're going to be here, and you might want another pillow or blanket, maybe even two, depending on your body, close by. We're with hip sitting on our side with our hip right up against sort of the center of the bolster. I'm really just centered on these cushions. And then we're going to, this is going to be a restorative supported twist. So as we're sitting here, we're going to turn our body just slightly, just comfortably so. You don't have to force 100% rotation. Just start to turn towards the blankets. Your sternum might be facing out rather than at the bolsters, and that's fine. And then we're going to lay down. So I find for a lot of people, kind of laying on your side, actually it feels better with the free arm behind you. And then as you're here, then you can let the upper body come down and you're into a gentle twist. Now, if you feel any pulling in your low back, you can have extra supports under your knee. You can have your legs more in a fetal position. You can do a staggered leg. Really just depends on your body and all of the unique things going on. So having the cushion down there will help the low back. If your upper back or neck feels, or shoulder feels restricted, you can do a couple things. You can add another pillow, and I like to stagger it so it's put your waist and your ribs here, and then your chest and your head up here. So it's just a kind of an incline as you rotate. Or you might need both. Another pillow here. So this is my shoulder people, my neck people, having an arm, a pillow there to support your arm. Just watch that it doesn't get in front of your face, make it hard to breathe. So a lot of ways to support your body. And this is where Zoom is kind of awkward because I can't really see or help you. So you just trusting your body, trusting the sensations you feel. This should feel extremely comfortable, these restorative postures. There shouldn't be a feeling of stretch that you really have to endure. There's going to be a gentle stretch, but we're thinking more of stretching not only any particular muscle, but the fascia, the connective tissue that surrounds the muscle. Surrounds the muscle fibers, surrounds the nerves, surrounds the organs, surrounds the cells. It's just this beautiful tissue that is a singular system, a webbing through the whole body. So we're just putting this gentle, easeful positioning for the fascia to come out of any patterns of holding, any ill relationship that you've adopted due to injury or illness, or just holding patterns of emotional distress can be really lodged in our body and affect how our tissues are held, how the fascia is held. So once we find a comfortable position, similar to when you were, I'm going to sit up to do it, just to, it's easier to talk, but you're laying comfortably. Similar to when you were laying on your stomach and you could feel, envision what's happening inside. So envision that here, envision your belly and your diaphragm, your lungs, everything, how everything's positioned. You can envision the musculoskeletal body. Then watch the breath and how the breath moves. And so we can just let the breath be very light here. And there's this beautiful awareness that we can come to with the breath where, again, this sort of witness presence where we're watching the body be breathed. We trust the breath is happening when we're not consciously attending to it. So right now we're conscious, but we're just watching our body be breathed. Watching the air from the room that you're in filter into the nostrils, communicate with the diaphragm to move. Feel how everything opens freely. Feel how the lungs then move. The lungs themselves don't have muscles. They're dependent on the muscles of the diaphragm and the muscles in the ribs and the tummy muscles, all these different muscles of respiration. And so just feel how the lungs just fill. And not just the lungs, the air goes in through the lungs into the bloodstream, into your cells, filling and nourishing your body. And this is the brilliance of yoga and this yogic perspective of prana, or energy. So when we start to go into that cellular awareness, we can really start to feel this energetic. We're beyond just the mechanics of the lungs and the muscles. We're into this whole system, and we're just relying on the sensation. And just feeling how good it feels to be breathed. And then as we exhale, as we release the air, as the air leaves our body, we feel our body release. We feel this letting go. We feel a cleansing. We're actually releasing carbon dioxide, waste from the cells. We can use this cleansing, releasing energy to go into deeper aspects of ourselves Releasing our stress, our worry, our fear. See how that next inhale nourishes not only your cellular physical body, but this deeper essence, this deeper you. And so just a couple more breaths here. Let you have some quiet in your own private experience on this side. So you can imagine if you were doing this just on your own, you could do this on your bed. You could do this just as you're going to bed or just waking up. You could do it as long as you like. You can always come back if this feels just so delicious. And when you're ready to come out, you can find the floor with your hands and push up. And so you can, if you'd like, you can do a side stretch. That feels good. If you feel like you have the strength and mobility, you can even lift your hips and reach. If it feels more appropriate or easeful for you, you can do more of a symmetrical counter posturing, cat, cow, or child. I like to sometimes, when I have the bolsters here, rest my forehead and even arms on the bolster, child. And just imagine right now you're all those tissues now opening up. There's more space in the abdominal region, the lungs. And so you just cleared out a lot of waste, cleared out a lot of holding patterns. And so there's new blood and energy coming back into all these places. And so now we'll do the other side. So we'll, you can just turn around, or if you're more visual, I'm gonna move my props so you see me. So we'll come here. So just same thing, other hip right up against the bolster or the props. Have your additional props ready to go. You might need different things for different body parts on this side because we are all asymmetrical beings. And then when you're ready to come into the shape, just kind of just laying mostly on your side. Your sternum is more or less facing forward, maybe a little bit at an angle, just depending on what's easeful in your body. And then you can let that shoulder come down and you can feel that rotation through the upper body. All right. And so again, if you feel any pulling in your low back, having supports under the leg, taking the leg up a little bit more. Hip flexion can sometimes feel better. Sometimes hip extension feels better. It depends on the positioning of your hips to begin with. So just always go with sensation, go with ease. If you feel easeful, you're good. Yoga is about ease and stability. And we can still do postures when we're building strength that are challenging, but still easeful always fundamentally. But especially these restorative postures. And so then again, you can have the position for your arm or staggered under for a little bit more height. And if all of this is just not feeling good, I forgot to mention on the other side, you can alternate position on your back. You can also just do a seated gentle rotation. If you are on your back, you could be here and just barely a deep, just a very shallow stretch, but still getting all this more subtle body benefit. So wherever you end up, you should feel good, like you could stay there forever, maybe even fall asleep here. And just feeling into the supportive nature of the shape, your props, feeling into this intention this time you carved out for yourself. Maybe not even be able to help, but feel a feeling of gratitude for all these supports, physical supports, and mental, emotional support you are providing for yourself. And so just see how that gratitude feels, how it lands in your body, that self-care. Just notice the sensations around that. And then like the other side, you can sort of journey through the layers with your mind, just noticing the general shape, how your skeleton and muscles feel. You can imagine how as you're breathing, you can feel those tissues softening with each exhale, expanding gently with each inhale. You feel that internal body, positioning of your diaphragm. So all the diaphragm is this circular dome-like muscle. So there's fibers along the whole circumference. And so you can have tight fibers over here and inactive ones over here. So just these different shapes really help to balance out any tension or lack of function or embodiment. Feel how your lungs feel, your belly, your organs. Your organs are asymmetrical, different ones on different sides, different size lungs. So this shape might fundamentally feel different. And as you drop in, really sensing what you feel, you can start to have some, what's the word? Not control, but just some access to these areas that might be chronically out of balance, perpetuating any illness. You have access to bringing energy, bringing mobility, bringing blood, bringing attention, bringing embodiment, and bringing the intelligence of this body back out. And then, of course, there's the witness of the breath. Just like you're receiving this beautiful gift, being nourished, feeling every cell, every tissue, and the most deep parts of your being receive this life force. Breath is life. And so as we exhale, releasing the waste, the cellular waste, the mental waste, emotional waste, the spiritual waste, such this awareness of how precious life is, especially this disease of the lungs, affecting the very breath that gives us life. It could go deep. And so honoring that, honoring the range of emotion, because it's all valid. And then with your presence and your attention to this beautiful body, and see how you can use this breath for healing those deeper parts, exhaling that fear. So that waste, that fear doesn't have to remain in you. For the last few moments here, maybe even inviting back in your intention from the beginning of class. Maybe the intentions kind of evolved and shifted a bit to something a little bit different. Inviting that energy and see how your breath weaves that energy into your body, how your body receives it, the sensations, how they change. Good. So we'll, when ready, slowly come up and out. And taking, excuse me, any counter posturing that feels good. Again, like the other side, we did the stretch, lift, cat-cow. And I think maybe because we started class a little late, we are running a little behind. So it is now 11:15. I'm going to give us just about 5 more minutes of Shavasana and closure, maybe a little bit longer. So hopefully you can join us. And if not, just sit symmetrically just for a moment, breathing and just kind of recenter. Otherwise, we can take our last posture, our Shavasana. So just any last movement here that feels good, cat-cow, any free movement. And then you can either lay with your back on the floor and your legs lifted up on the cushions, or if you want to do more of an incline, especially if you are feeling a lot of respiratory distress right now, laying flat on your back often isn't the best positioning. So you can have your pillows, again, that sort of staggered variation is usually a nice way to help incline. And I like to sit on or right up to the very bottom one, and then the next pillow, bring it right up to your sacrum, right up to it, so that when you go to lay back, your lower spine is wedged in and supported, feels safe, there's not any compression. And then when you come back, rest here, and you might even need an additional pillow or towel roll under the head, or you can even bring the top one. I was saying in the last class, bring your props to you rather than you do the props. So I like to bring the prop right up to the crook of the neck and then lay back. So you want to basically feel supported, especially through the curves of the spine. You can have your legs out straight. You could do Baddha Konasana with some kind of props under the legs, or even legs bent. Could feel good. So however you are, whether you're resting in this sort of inclined position or you're just flat on your back with your legs elevated, take a moment and just connect with the supports beneath you, support of the cushions, the support of the earth. Connect with this deeper support of your very presence, your attention, your loving, intentional attention to yourself. The intention that you are carrying through this practice, through your being. And with all this feeling of support externally and internally, just notice how that feels to be held. And then see how you're able to, when we're able to hold, we can then release. We can just let go, surrender. So your eyes are closed. Your mind is dropped down into the body, just letting it fall like a pebble or a stone in the water, and just watching where it lands within you. And rest in that depth of yourself for a few quiet moments. Savoring this presence, this infinite presence, this place where time vanishes. And then we can allow our breath to come back, the awareness of the breath, and maybe even just a little bit of direction of elongating the breath. And just feel as you're breathing, you're filling up all these new open spaces in your body, bringing that intention with it. Just feeling it all really expand, take root. Good. And then when you're ready, you can slowly now roll to your side. Pause there briefly. And then come up to seated. And feel free to sit up on your bolsters if this is a hard posture for you, especially if your knees are much higher than your hips. Just sort of wedged up there. You can even sit on a chair. And so let's come back to hands against body, or if you prefer your hands at your side, you can just mentally find your center. Maybe that image of the rock falling through the water. Just invoke that for a moment, feeling all the way through your central channel. And feeling the expansiveness of your being, the ease of your being, this deep rootedness. And we'll take 3 final breaths together with the hands at the heart, finding that sensation, that place, that intention in your heart. And once again, we did earlier, we're going to inhale and open. You might even just imagine pulling this energy. You can even see it, maybe it has a color. And then offering it out to anybody. It could be one person, many people, the whole planet, just whoever needs it. Inhaling, and then as you exhale, gather it back up. Feel that pressure, visualize that light in your hands, and draw it all right back within. Receive it yourself. So just back and forth, this channeling. Inhale, opening, giving, exhale, centering, receiving. And finally, when you're done, you can either rest your hands against your heart or palms together in Anjali Prayer Mudra. Extending this beautiful energy that we've cultivated here to the world. May all beings have peace, truly. Let it begin right here with ourselves. Thank you all for joining. Namaste. And feel free to give yourself a big hug. Thank you, guys. You can take off mute if you want.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll stop recording.
Thank you, Laura.